Today we're going to show you how to make aprons, chef hats, and pillowcases, all without a pattern. All right, there are a lot of tricks, and if you buy a pattern, you're paying, $4 or $5, and the material's the same price. So why bother? You can do it all yourself. Just gotta be a little creative like I was. All right, see, we have a beautiful country. Look at that. That's a pillowcase. There's the hat. There's the apron. And then we done ladybugs. Pillowcase. And the chef hat. And then butterflies. An apron. Pillowcase. And a chef hat. And now we're working on this one here, which is a whole bunch of deers. Deers, does, and bucks. Does got beautiful little flower in the hair. Spots for a doe. Buck spots. Wouldn't have the horns if they still had spots, but beautiful. All right. So let's start with how do you create a pattern all by yourself? Okay. And what I did was, now this one was for the older girls, which are those three right there. Now these girls are, let's see, 6, 7, and 9. So they got that size. So now I'm working on the smaller one, the deer, and this one here. And that's for a almost 3 and a 4-year-old. So if you notice, a little smaller. So this was for the bigger ones. And for the smaller, the 2 smaller ones, it's a little less. So let me tell you about the measurements. And I just use wrapping paper. That's my pattern. So first what you turn around and do, let's see. Okay, first I went from the waist to their knees. Waist to their knees. As you can see, that's tape. So I did just that measurements. Then I did from the waist to the chest, which is pretty much underneath their arm. Even with underneath their arm. Okay, and then I measured from hip to hip. But you want it like the behind of the hip, not the exact center of the side of the hips. A little behind. That way they got room to grow a little. Okay, so they get to have it a little bit longer. And then the next thing, because you're going to have to put your straps to tie it up around here. See, it's going to come out to tie them back. It's going to go up. It's going to go around. Then you got to measure from where you left off on their chest around their neck and back down to the chest again. So you measure that. These are all measurements you need. Okay, and then from the left side of their chest to the right side, because you don't want it to interfere with their arms. So every child's a little bit different. As you can see in my sample that I made. These two handle the 2 younger ones. Allow for a 1/2 inch on both sides for your sewing, because you sew 5/8 of an inch. Okay, so when you count it, go ahead and add an extra inch. Okay, because you need your 5/8 for sewing all the way around. So be sure to do that. And then, to measure how long your strip needs to be for going around and tying in the back, you need to turn around and go from the waist to the chest, because you need from the waist to the chest the amount that went around from left chest or back in the neck to the right, and then go ahead and add another 25 inches. Okay, now a lot of kids today, they just have the shoes that you just slide on. So if you leave just enough to tie a knot, maybe give a little extra for anyone that might be adventurous. That's fine. If you need someone who does the whole bow, by all means, you know, give them an extra 6 inches. But the total of what you're going to need for that will be from the waist all the way up, around the neck, back down, and then add the 25 for tying. All right, let me show you. Now over here, I started. So the first thing, I wanted to add a little ribbon to it all. So I did that. I added my ribbon, because if you notice, they're all going to get a nice little ribbon. Oh, this one's actually, I laid it out the wrong way, because this ribbon has shininess to it. Look at that. Isn't that beautiful? And because there was some yellow, a lot of yellow right there and everything, I decided her little lace will be yellow. Now, if you notice, I have different colors here. Okay, and I didn't want the lacy lace because that gets ripped real easy. So I took one that was like all cloth. Okay, and added a little ruffle on the side there that makes it nice. And they come this way. Okay, so let me show you. I put my ribbon right on. Okay, then this is my strap. So I measured my whole distance that I needed, which was all the way from the hip, going all the way up, around the neck, back down, and then I added the extra 25. Okay, and I cut out strips. Now I cut them right on the fold because there's plenty of room. And the strips are 4 inches wide. Then with the iron, I folded it in half. Started out by folding in half, so I knew what I had to play with. Then folded that in half again, and that in half again. Because you want your strap to be rugged. So it's almost like 4 layers when you're done. And that's rugged as heck. Okay, because kids will be rough. And when you come like sewing right on the top, see, I also ironed right here. Because once I sew this up, then I turn it inside out, I need to still sew on the very top here. Okay? And then you can't turn that inside out when you do that, so you just have to sew straight. But that's okay. Now when you put your straps on right here, you're going to want to back stitch a lot. Right here, because that's where it comes around the neck. And so you have that extra security. And also at the hip area. Because if it's going to come undone, you know, it's usually the hip area. And when you buy from the store, they only sew it once. But if you do it, no matter how rough and tough kids are, it's going to stay. So back stitch here, back stitch here when you're putting on your strap. Okay, so this will be your strap. And just make sure when you come across the top here, back stitch and back stitch. That way you got nice and rugged. All right, so this is how we start with this. Hey, the deer's so cute. All right, and then to make their little chef hats, all I did was use a circle. Now, you're going to say, okay, what pattern did she use for that? Well, see that Tupperware bowl? The cover itself is like, I don't know, 12.5 inches. Something like that, because there's 12, and there's a little extra. So about 12.5 inches. Now for the little kids, the one that's 3 and 4, well, almost 3 and 4, I added 2 inches. But for the bigger girls who are 6, 7, and 9, their hats needed to be a little bit bigger, you know, to fit their head good and give some heights. So I added 4 inches instead of the 2. So that gave them the extra 2 on each side, so giving them an extra 4 inch. Okay, now these bonnets, call them chef hats because they look like that. Aren't they cute? Little chef hats. But they can also, in the old day, they used to wear them to go to bed at night so that they could stay warm because there was, you know, just the wood stove downstairs. And it can get cold in the middle of the night if you're up in the loft sleeping. So if you go to camp and it's a little bit chilly, you might want to take those with them. So at nighttime, they just put it on and they get extra warm. Because all the heat rises goes to your head. If you're going to catch a cold, it's going to be because your head was cold. So they can wear their little bonnets. All right. So that's how I'm doing that. Now after you do your circle for your hat and you sewed your 5/8 inch, remember that this is round. So because it's round, you got to do these little cuts all the way around. Other than that, when you turn it over, you're going to have like a little sticking out ball. You don't want none of that. Okay? Then once you turn it over, you're going to, see now you leave just a space here for your hand to go in to flip it over. And then after that, you're going to sew this little bit. See this? You sew just that little bit. It's not quite a 1/2 inch. It's between a 1/4 and a 1/2. So you turn around and you sew that all the way around, then this stays good and solid. So it's rugged. And then what you do is measure your 2 inches. And I have that marked on my sewing machine. All right, you want to know all the cheating? This is all the cheating. Look at this. I already have it marked on my sewing machine. And right there is where you're going to sew your elastic. So it's about 2 inches in. Okay? So 2 inches in is where you just sew your elastic. Now measure their head. You're going to want to measure their head so that it goes around the ears down to the bottom of their head, all the way at the bottom. So start at the bottom, come around the top behind the ears, because that's where the elastic's going to sit. Come across their top, back down around the ears, and back where you started. Now measure that for your elastic, because there's a lot more material than that, but you need it to gather up, just like these all gather up. For their little hat. And that's, you know, you got to tug on that elastic, I'll tell you. Gonna have to hold it and just go piece by piece, you know, one arm length, one little arm from finger to thumb, just that much at a time as you sew, because you got to keep pulling on that elastic real tight as you sew and help the material along. So that's the only hard part. Okay, and that takes care of the hats. Now, to do the pillowcase. Easy. Just grab any one of your pillowcases you already have. Simple as that. Okay, now, in order to do it like this, so it comes out like this, you know, or like this one here. See, this one's got the white too. And the butterflies, and you want your butterflies going the same as the rest, just like you did your ladybugs and the cowboy. All right, you want them all going. So this is the wrong side, and this is the wrong side, and just lay them on top. This is a 4-inch strip, which is your 4 inches from here to here. You know, once it's all sewed, it comes down to, I don't know, like 3 inches. But first you start like this. Okay, make sure it's on the back side, the wrong side. And lay this right on. Also the wrong side, but make sure that your animal or character, whatever you're using, is the same way, standing up frontwards. Okay, that's one thing you got to watch real careful before you start sewing anything, is make sure, you know, it's like when you did the pillowcase, make sure your butterflies are going straight up, and you want the same thing on the other side. So always pay attention to that. Doesn't matter on the hat, on either one of the hats, but it does matter on the pillowcase, and it does matter on the apron, because you never know what side the kids are going to wear it. Even though, according to the lace, the shiny parts on this side, you never know. Kids get it dirty, they're going to turn it around. You never know. They don't pay attention to those details. Only you do. All right. So, here I did this one. I got one part done, just so I can show you. But first you start this way, because when you flip it over to go this side, you want it all going the right way. Okay, so to sew to begin with, go your 5/8 inch. Most everything is 5/8 inch. Okay, and then you flip it over, and what you're going to do is iron this, a little piece like this. Then when you flip it over, you just put your lacy part right underneath where you already ironed, and then sew it. Enough to cover this part right here. This lacy part has to be tucked underneath, and just sew. Leave like half of it. Some places I left a little more than half. It depends on your skill. If you can, do it, and just sew exactly on right there, right underneath it. But if you're a little scared, go a little bit more in. It's okay. Just as long as you have some. This is just to add a little extra fanciness. Now, believe it or not, these girls, they wanted to know if I still had extra material. They want skirts. And I'm going, ooh, okay, we can do that. But they don't want just straight skirts. It has to flare for when they twirl around. I don't know if you follow me on Facebook, but, you know, I crocheted them all skirts last year. You know, that flared right out really like a big bell, so they can twirl around, and they love it. So they want some more of those skirts. Oh, you're going to do it in material? Okay. Oh, they keep me busy. 5 little girls. They live in my guest house, and there's one more on the way that'll be born next month. So we got another one on the way. Okay, so that's how you do that. And then after that, you just put face to face, the good sides together. Sew your sides. Now, when you do the pillowcases, I have to make them rugged, because I look at these kids, I mean, come on. There's 5 of them, about to be 6. There's going to be a pillow fight. You know there is. So I sew a straight line. Then I go around again with a zigzag. And then at the end of the zigzag, I go around again. So that ain't coming apart. They're going to wear that thing out first. All right, and then this will be the next one. So this is what I've been up to. All right. I hope you've enjoyed my bringing you these. They're all cute. Getting ahead of the game. Getting some. I do the 10 days before Christmas, and they get a gift every day. So instead of knitting and all that, I will knit though, because they have to have new hats every year. So I got some really nice yarn, you know, with all the glitter and everything. So they will get some new hats too. But this is part of the 10 days before Christmas. They get one gift. I'll give them the apron. Then when I give them the hats, I'll give them a mix to make cookies or brownies, because they like chocolate chip and they like brownies. Okay, then they'll have a new pillow to go with their pillowcases. So then another one will be hats. Then now that they're talking about skirts, because I asked them, would you like slacks or would you like skirts? They said skirts. So when they get their skirts, they'll have to have plain color blouses to go with them. You know, like the country one will get a yellow blouse. Well, little beater bugs, they gotta have a red blouse. Butterfly, ooh, that's gonna be hard. Ooh, I don't know. Maybe a blue. My little dears, ooh, I don't know. Rose? Maybe rose one. Maybe a rose. Just to bring out the rose in the blanket. I mean, in the blanket. In the pillowcase or in the skirts. Because there's some nice roses there. So maybe a rose. This one, of course, will get a blue. She'll have to have a baby blue top. I'll have to take a piece of the material with me and match it. Because that could be tricky. Or I could go that hot pink. Maybe the hot pink, huh? Bring everything out. All right. Hope you've enjoyed my bringing this to you. Be sure to sub me, join me as a friend, and we'll bring you some more. Whatever we make, or whatever I go, whatever I do, whatever I collect. All righty. Bye-bye now.